what's fucked up and everything's alright. Check my vital signs and know I'm still alive, and I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk up. My shadow's only one who walks beside me. My shallow heart's the only thing that's beating. Sometimes I wish someone up there will find me. Till then I walk alone. I walk alone, I walk up. I walk this empty street on the boulevard of broken dreams, where the city sleeps and I'm the only one, and I walk up. My shadow's only one who walks beside me. My shallow heart's the only thing that's beating. Sometimes I wish someone up there will find me. Till then I walk alone.
This is Real Deal Sports Talk. It is April 19th, 2020. Who else out there right now feels like their shadow is the only thing walking behind them? We're what, 4 or 5 weeks into this pandemic? This is the first time I've had a show out since this stay-at-home order went into effect. So I'm glad to be back. Glad you guys are listening. But it's been ridiculous. It's been crazy. Watching different sports shows, listening to the different sports radio shows, trying to find your way in this world without sports that we are currently living in. It's been a lot of TV. It's been a lot of binging. It's been a lot of, catching up on old sports movies and Peyton's Place on ESPN Plus, and getting work from home, which has been mind-numbing. A lot of people don't have the opportunity. They're losing their jobs or things like that because of everything going on right now. But working at home, hey, I'm glad I have a job. I'm glad I'm getting paid. All those good things for sure. But it can be mind-numbing boring. There's days where, there's a lot going on, busy all day, meetings all day, phone calls coming in. Those days go by pretty fast. The other days, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's just so slow. Not enough going on, not enough interaction. You can't get out and about. It messes up your total routine, your total day, the total, way you're used to doing things. So it's been a weird one. I took some time off from the show, hoping honestly that this pandemic thing would go away and that we could pick up and start talking about, just sports again and not other things outside of sports, or what we're doing without sports, or, whose loved ones are healthy and whose loved ones are not. What side of the political aisle of a pandemic issue that you want to fall on, and what kind of a sheep you are, whether or not you think it's worth risking everybody else's health, whether you're stuck on the idea that it's all about you and the me, and that the we don't matter. Because really what we're at right now in society, pretty much worldwide, is the battle of the we over the me. And the people out there bitching and complaining right now and protesting that the the shutdown needs to end and everything needs to go back, and they're listening to 45 like he has any fucking clue what he's talking about. You're all about the me, and I feel sorry for you. Because you're going to be the first ones who jump out and say, I need help, when something goes down for you. You're not going to reject the help. You're not going to say, I got this. But because it's not currently affecting you, because you currently are going to buy into some rhetoric from a Cheeto, because you're currently going to buy into rhetoric from a vice president who also is not a doctor, because the medical people that are involved, you don't want to listen to because the talk show host tells you not to, because the talk show host has financial interests invested into a product that he keeps bringing up, because the talk show host does not follow the own rules that he's trying, and his family don't, that he's trying to put in place for you. The idea that anybody is willing to lay themselves down for the me instead of the we, to follow him, to follow what he's saying, what he's doing, anything coming out of his White House, is a joke. And it does make me frustrated, and it does make me angry, and it does make me feel like, separating and not having to deal with those people. But when it comes down to it, it's a we thing. This is not going to go away. It's going to be something that we deal with for a long time to come. Yes, we're working on flattening the curve. I have no problem wearing gloves and a mask out of my house. It is not that big of a deal. It is not that big of a deal that I can't do all of the social privileges that I had prior to this shutdown. It really isn't. Because I understand it's not just about me. Okay? There's a lot of people out there that can be affected by this. One way or another, it's in the air. They're learning more and more about it as it goes. And what's kind of embarrassing, and I know I talk sports, I know that's what my show is about, is that every time an athlete comes down with it, the reaction is, oh my goodness, oh no, it can't be. Your occupation does not make you any different of a person than the rest of us. I will agree that the reporting on this and the way it's been talked about has been to that of trying to entice fear, of trying to make people scared. It has not been about, here's how many people have, overcome it. It has not been about the numbers of success stories. It's been about the deaths. It's been about the shock and awe. It's been about the fear factor. And unfortunately, that's the only way we're going to get through to the people in our society by a large amount. Sure, there's some of us that will listen to the science and go, okay, let me take these precautions. But the vast majority of us, a large portion of us, we have to be scared. It has to affect us directly for us to look outside of our little bubble and do or feel or say anything about anything. It came out that because of this pandemic, we haven't had a school shooting in the month of March for the first time since 2002. And I shared this stat. And I got a bunch of pushback from people saying, well, duh, there hasn't been any school. Exactly the point. That is the sad irony of that statistic. What it took for there not to be a school shooting in this country in the last 18 years was a pandemic that closed all of the damn schools. So don't question the statistic like, oh, well, that's because there wasn't any. Exactly. That's what it took. It took a stay-at-home order. It took kids having to stay home and remote learn for there not to be a school shooting. That's not something to debate. That's shock. That's awe. That's my, oh my, what are we going to do when we do come back? Because guess what? April's going to be the second month. And this is not about your gun rights. This is not about what you perceived the Second Amendment to be until 2012 when it actually meant that. This is not about fascism. This is not about the government having too much power. It's about being better than that. It's about murder for sport is not cool. All of you hunters out there with your trophy bucks. Not cool. Doesn't make you a big man. Doesn't make you an awesome woman. It makes you a clown in my book. You want to hunt for food to provide for your family? Okay, I can get on board with that. I can understand that. Not everybody wants to go to the grocery store. You're allowed to live your life. But just killing for fun, so you can say, look at the picture I took of the dead animal? Appreciate nature better than that. I'm going off on tangents now. Let's get into it. What's it been like without sports? Well, as you can tell, it leaves people's minds time to wander. Is leaving us time to be divisive, time to be cranky, time to get grumpy, time to get stir crazy, time to want this to be over, time for change, time to appreciate. You're seeing the appreciation of spending more time with your families. You're seeing people get creative in all kinds of new ways that they weren't before, reaching out to people in all kinds of ways that they weren't before, coming up with skits and building things and creating things. So if there is a silver lining to something like this, it would be that aspect of what's going on. The increased activity, the increased ways people are trying to be creative, are trying to find things to do, trying to entertain themselves. On the other side, like I mentioned, for those of us working at home, or those of us deemed essential employees, and we're taking care of public education or health or trash disposal, or the truckers on the foods, or any number of the essential employees out there that are still having to go to work every day. Even for them, things have changed. It's not the same routine. It's a very weird, very fluid, ever-changing, hostile at times environment that we're in right now. For me, I've tried to replace my not having sports with watching old WWF tapes, and I've binge watched some WrestleMania, I've binge watched some SummerSlam. I watched the Andre the Giant documentary. I've been watching a lot of ESPN Plus shows. Different sports movies here and there, different Rockies and the Creeds, and I got Rocky 3, ready to go. I watched No Holds Bar. So trying to find sports in some other ways, not just watching classic reruns and this game from this year and all of that kind of stuff. The NFL Game Pass, watched a couple of the past Lions games, ones that I knew they won. But there's only so much of that you can really do. And, people are breaking things down by category, right? So, like, sports movies. Since I've been watching so many sports movies, I decided, what are my favorite sports movies in different categories for different sports. And I have a lot of sports movies. There's a lot out there that I would still like to have. But for football, I'd have to say, like, just doing different categories: football, baseball, basketball, and throw wrestling, sports entertainment, golf, and other category. So football for me, what I like in a football movie is not necessarily how technical the football scenes are. They have to look like football, yes. They have to make me, as a former player, remember what it was like to play football. But I'm looking for more in the story of the movie, of some of those intangibles, some of those things that you don't know by tuning in on Saturday or Sunday and watching a game. Some of those things that players can feel by watching a movie because that's something that they lived. And I get pushback all the time when I talk about the different movies that I like, especially in the sports world. And I have no problem with that. That's fine. To each his own. I'm not saying these are the ones you have to like, or these are the order you have to like them in, or anything. These are just, the top movies in each of these categories for me. And when it comes to football, for me, my three of my favorite, in no particular order, would be Little Giants, Remember the Titans, and Rudy. Now, all of these movies take me back to a different time of feeling different things about what it was in my playing days, and what football was for me, and what I got out of it, and what I love about the game of football. Watching the Little Giants, watching that team overcome, be better than Ed O'Neill's Cowboys team in the little town of Texas, having the little brother, show up the big brother finally and get over that hurdle, having the team come together and believe in each other and play for each other, and want to win for each other. And those little things that I can remember from my little league days and winning championship trophies and going to Vegas with my team and participating in a national championship, and how we had to build a team and come together and we had each other's backs. And if you messed with one of us, you messed with all of us. And you get some of that feeling from the movie of Little Giants. You also get the pure fun and the what you should get, the excitement out of the game at that age, and how it shouldn't be so regimented the way the Cowboys team is playing, and it should be more about the fun and the kids doing their thing and enjoying themselves and accomplishing things for the first time. So that's why I like Little Giants. Remember the Titans, just a good football movie, also good storyline. It could have been a lot harsher, but remember, it's a Disney movie. They're not going to take it into the full racial profile of what that would have really been like for these young men at the time. But you get a little taste of it. You get a little glimpse of it. You get some of those aha moments in this movie. You see again team building. You see again how this sport and being on a team can bring people together that outside of that probably never would have. You can see how sports can open your eyes to things. You can see how sports will change your mind and make you believe and do things and understand things that maybe you didn't understand before. So remember the Titans. And then Rudy, for me, again, there's a story about an overachiever. Has it been glorified, fantasized over the years since the 70s when Rudy was actually at Notre Dame? 100%. Is there a whole lot of football in the movie? Not really. But what you get is his drive, his love of that game, his love of that team. That's what I get out of the movie Rudy. And how much he's willing to do anything that he needs to do to play, be around, participate in, show his love for that game. Now, again, the story was glorified. The story was, fantasized and all of that. I get it. But these are movies, right? These are little things, little feelings that we get out of sports movies that entice, feelings of loyalty and feelings of sadness and feelings of, wanting the underachiever to finally get his due or their due. And some of those football movies do that. For baseball, moving on to baseball, for me, Sandlot was it. I came up at a time, I think, 12 years old maybe when Sandlot came out, playing baseball at the time and Little League. I knew exactly what it was like to get out there with the boys and throw the ball around and have fun and talk shit and, point at the fence like you're going to get a home run and then get ragged on when you struck out. And, just to cut it up with the guys out in the sun, not giving a care, just playing for the love. And then getting in some trouble along the way and some mischief. And, I could connect to that movie at the time that came out. Major League, for me, it came out a few years earlier than Sandlot. I was a kid. I wanted to see that movie. I was enticed by the idea of that movie. It was a movie I was told I couldn't see. It was the adult rated R movie when I was a little kid when it came out. Well, not a little kid, but a kid when it came out. To this day, I just watched it a couple weeks ago, honestly. I still enjoy that movie. More for the comic relief than anything else that comes out of that movie. Again, it's not like, oh, look how accurate this baseball movie is. But playing baseball and getting the jokes that they throw in there about Willie Mays Hayes, about, Charlie Sheen's character, the third baseman who has to be pelted over and over again with the balls, who becomes the owner in the second movie. I would do better with names, but, it happens. Roger Dorn, I think it was his name, the third baseman. But a good movie nonetheless. And then another baseball movie for me, probably my favorite baseball movie of all time, A League of Their Own. It has good comedy. It has good baseball. Some of the actresses and the doubles that they have in that movie are very athletic and good at what they did in the game. Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell, their banter back and forth makes for some good points in the movie. Lori Petty playing the little sister Dot. Um, just a good movie, and it hits on a part of American sports that isn't talked about a lot, that a lot of fans don't know about, and how women basically kept not only the marketplace and the economy going during World War II, but they really kept professional baseball going as an alternative. They didn't play in a lot of cities, but when they did, the fans were there and they kept the game going. Um, Very understated, I think, still to this day, the role the women of this country played in the morale, the upkeep, and just overall ability of this country to do what it did during World War II falls a lot on the shoulders of those women at that time. So a great movie there, and an iconic line from Tom Hanks as far as the crying in baseball scene. Moving on to basketball movies. Again, no particular order for these, but three of my favorites are Coach Carter, Glory Road, and then Love and Basketball. Some people would argue whether that's a basketball movie, but it does kind of touch on aspects of the game. You have a male player, you have a female player. They're both driven by success and being the best, and how that conflict in their relationship of needing to be the best and needing them to be fully supported kind of drove them apart and ultimately brought them back together. Their love of the game, that was where the relationship was founded. And it took time, it took years, it took hardship, it took failures, it took getting back up. And they always had the game to lean on. But for both characters, they needed more than that in their lives. And it shows that sports isn't everything. Yeah, you can go out and you can make a lot of money. You can reach the highest heights. You can win all the accolades, all the personal achievements, and all of that stuff. But just like the rest of us, there's more to these athletes. And this movie kind of shows that they both needed something more than that. They both had a hole in them that wasn't being filled by sports. Glory Road, great movie. First all black basketball team to go through the NCAA tournament, beat that Kentucky team. Coach Carter, the way he deals with those kids, the love he shows, the stability he shows, the consistency he shows, and the boundaries he puts down to try and make those kids' lives better. Great movies all around. As far as wrestling sports entertainment goes, I would have to say for me, Royal Rumble 1990, SummerSlam 1990, and WrestleMania 6 take the top for me. Now, I know that doesn't cross into the WCW stuff. It doesn't cross into the NWA, which became WCW stuff, the Starcades, and all that kind of stuff. But for me, those three as a kid, Royal Rumble, that was the first pay-per-view in 1990 I think my dad ever got for us. SummerSlam that year, again, that was another one that I enjoyed with my dad and was able to get. We didn't get a whole lot of pay-per-views. And in fact, Royal Rumble might have been, we watched that at my dad's buddy's house. But one of those two is for sure my first pay-per-view that I ever purchased as a kid. And then WrestleMania 6, Hogan and Warrior. I was thinking WrestleMania 3, Hogan and Andre the Giant, because that's really the one that changed the landscape of wrestling moving forward. But watching the Intercontinental Champion in the Warrior and heavyweight champion in Hogan, first time that kind of thing had happened. Warrior was really becoming a popular character and a popular brand at the time. Hulkamania, he had already done his thing. Andre had passed the baton to Hulk Hogan, and he was becoming the big thing. He had the cartoon out, and all that kind of stuff. And it was just, as a kid, it was just like, wow, these were superheroes. These were comic book characters come to life. Another category, golf movies. I've got a few golf movies. Legend of Bagger Vance is a great one. Lessons on morality and being a good person and being, confident and making a choice and going with it. Happy Gilmore, Caddyshack, both of those golf movies. Yeah, comedies more so, yes. Slapstick, sure. If I had an honorable mention in the golf category, because I did pick Happy Gilmore and Caddyshack, it'd probably be Tin Cup or Best Game Ever Played. with Shia LaBeouf. But again, plenty of sports movies out there, plenty of genres out there for you. Other sports movies I love to watch: Ali, Cool Runnings, Mighty Ducks. So, if you've got time, if you're spending it at home, if you're not at work right now, or whatever the case is, you're working at home, or whatever it is, and you got a sports movie, those are a couple you might check out. They're good for me. I like them. What I don't like and what I will not accept anymore is being called a fan. I'm no longer in that category. I am now going to start advocating and pushing for a new term for all of us that do not want to be referred to as fans. Fan is an offshoot of fanatic. I've been thinking about this for years, especially as ticket prices and things like that have changed in sports landscape, and it's becoming harder and harder for some of us to make it to games and to enjoy games, and when we are there, to deal with the people that are sitting around us that think they know what they're talking about, that have never been a GM, never been a coach, maybe played at some point, but they're cussing, they're drunk, and they're just ruining the experience of being able to watch the game. Okay. The new term I'm going to go with is champion. I'm a champion for the teams and the sports that I like, and I'll explain that here a little bit. Fan comes from the word fanatic, okay? Fanatic is a noun. It's a person filled with excessive and single-minded zeal, especially for an extreme religious or political cause, okay? Synonyms: extremist, militant, dogmatist, devotee, bigot, chauvinist, partisan, radical, diehard, ultra, activist, apologist, adherent, visionary, maniac, crank, freak. See, this is not me. I don't fall into that category, okay? I'm a champion. I'm a champion for the Detroit Lions. I'm a champion for the game of football. And a champion, definition, okay? A person who has defeated or surpassed all rivals in a competition, especially in sports, a champion hurdler. That doesn't really make sense as to how I could be called a champion, does it? Well, luckily we have multiple definitions for things. A person who fights or argues for a cause or on behalf of someone else. A champion of women's rights. Synonyms: advocate, proponent, promoter, proposer, supporter, standard bearer, torch bearer, defender, protector, upholder, backer, patron, sponsor. See, these are positive terms. These are not negative terms. By nature, a fanatic is negative. By nature, a champion is positive. I am a champion for the teams that I support. I am a champion for the teams and the sports that I'm a backer of, for the athletes that I fight for the athletes that I campaign for the things that I advocate for that you can get out of sports. I am a champion for those things. Do not call me a fan. For those of you who want to be fans, by all means, continue being negative. Continue buying into the idea that somehow this rivalry of teams and you rooting against another team is how it's supposed to be, and we're supposed to be divided, and sportsmanship doesn't count for fans because we bought a ticket. No, I'm not a fan. I'm a champion. The rest of you are champions that don't buy into this nonsense, that don't buy into this rhetoric, that don't want to be negative, that don't want to be hateful, that can go out to a game with your favorite team. I'm at the Broncos-Lions game this year, 2019, okay, in December. I love the Lions, lifelong Lions fan. Going on 30 years of supporting the Lions, first 10 years raised in a Broncos household. So I'm at the game. Hey, Broncos make a good play. I'm a football fan first. I appreciate good plays. You got my team? Hey, I'm going to clap for you. Good job. We get to line up again. That's the part of the competition. I'm not going to cuss the other team in the stands or my team in the stands because they blew a call. Look, you made a good play. You got us. Now let's line up and do it again. I'm a champion. I'm not going to sit up there and be ugly and boo and make comments that are unnecessary because I feel like I'm justified because I bought a ticket or because I think that's what being a champion is. I can fully support my team without being ugly, without putting down. And you know what? I had Broncos fans coming up to me because they saw how I behaved and saying, you know what? Respect, man. You know, you guys got beat today. But I saw you were clapping, you were supporting. Look, I'm a sportsman. I got sportsmanship out of it. If I get crossed up every now and then, sure. I'm human. I mess up. But I'm no longer referred to as a fan or a fanatic. I'm a champion. I'm a champion for the players. I'm a champion for the sports that I enjoy and love. I'm a champion for the teams that I support. All you people who want to get in fights at games and start punching stuff and pouring stuff on people because you think that's what it's about, go ahead, be a fan. I'll let you have it. Me, again, I'm a champion. And I'll leave it at that. Now, there's been a lot of talk about when we should bring sports back. We're getting to the end of the show, so let's talk about it a little bit. There's surveys out there that say somewhere between 70-75% of fans say that they really don't want to come back unless there's some kind of a vaccine or a cure back to the stadiums. Now, obviously, with any kind of a poll, you're looking at where did they get this poll from, who did they actually poll, and things like that. I think a lot of fans would be willing to go back to the sporting events if they open back up. I think that's the kind of thing that humanity would do. That's the kind of entertainment we've always wanted. Going all the way back to Roman times, if it was available, we packed the stadiums. So I think if it comes back, that 70 to 72% of people, yeah, they're not going to go. But the other 30% of the people are going to be more than enough to probably fill the stadiums. If it comes to that. I was going to put a poll out. I saw Bonnie Bernstein actually beat me to it and put a very similar poll out. So I didn't put this poll out. But I thought she put it in a really good way. As far as when you would be willing as a fan, as a champion. See, I even have to change the terminology. As a champion, to go back and be in these stadiums again. To be out there championing for your team. And she gave a few choices. Right away, undecided, kind of skittish, may wait, not at any time soon for me. And I think that's perfect. That's a good breakdown of where we all stand as far as our wanting to be able to recreationally go out and observe and, be out in the sun and, be in these venues. I think a lot of people would be right away. For me right now, I'm undecided as to what I would do because I know there's people out there that would be sick, that don't care, that would show up to this event or these types of events and put other people at risk. I enjoy watching at home for the fact that I can avoid those fans that want to get in fights, that want to talk stuff, that, do make the game unenjoyable for me to watch when I do attend. There's a political factor involved right now. 45's brought in all the heads of the pro sports and Vince McMahon and UFC Dana White and Silver and Bettman and Goodell and, all these different guys and owners of different teams. Because he knows that sports, America will pour themselves into sports. So he's going to put pressure there because now sports suit him. Before, when sports didn't suit him, it was easy to say, let's call him this name and that name, and they're doing this and bad that and bad this. Well, now I need you. Now I need you to do something for me. So I'm going to bring all these people in and say, how can we jumpstart the economy? Because that's beneficial to me. So there's a political influence as to when sports is going to return. And I get it. Sports is important to society. I love sports. It has healing factors. It brings a sense of normalcy to things. It allows you to get out in a different way than what you're doing right now and just experience and socialize and sunbathe and all the different things that take place at stadiums outside of obviously watching the game you paid a ticket to go see. But what's the likelihood of that actually happening? I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of sports this fall. I'm hopeful. I want that to be the goal. I would love not to miss football season. I really would. But right now, with the number of people who don't want to flatten the curve, who would rather see it spike and just go survival of the fittest, Charles Darwin, I don't see opening up 70,000 seat stadiums, 35,000 seats arenas as the way that's going to be good for anybody. Because we'll open back up, a big outbreak happens, we're going to close it all back down again. It's frustrating. I get it. It's mind-boggling. We don't like it. We would rather things be the way they were. Great. Yeah, who wouldn't? The fact of the matter is we're at the point where it's about the we and not the me. Again, circling back to the beginning of the show. Dr. Fauci, he thinks sports can return. With no fans, with players being quarantined in hotels, with weekly medical checkups, and all this kind of stuff. And you do see sports coming back in some places. Thailand has baseball. They've got paper, cardboard fans in the seats. And we don't have things to look forward to as far as baseball season. I'm supposed to be at a Rockies game right now with my dad. Got him tickets for his birthday back in January to go see the Cardinals and the Rockies today. It was Larry Walker's retirement weekend. He grew up a Cardinals fan. I was going to spend some time with my old man at the Rockies game. Disappointing. Game hasn't been canceled. It's postponed. I can't get any money back for the tickets yet. Maybe we'll get to use the tickets. Maybe I'll get a refund. It's all left out there. And this is happening for thousands and thousands of people, millions of people, right? Your sporting events, your concerts, all these things are getting canceled. I'd rather not be able to go to the Rockies game today with the chance that my dad, me, we don't get sick, we don't get somebody else sick, and we're able to enjoy it later on. Then, F it, we should all just do whatever we want. If you die, you die, who cares? Because the people, again, that are rooting for that want that are advocating for that, will be the first ones to whine, complain, bitch, and moan when they're sick, when their loved ones are sick, and now they need the help, because that's when it gets to them. So we have other sports things coming up. The NFL draft starts Thursday. Virtual draft, going to be interesting. Teams were worried about their drafts getting hacked. All kinds of contingency plans going into place. Teams are worried about letting the IT guy in their house to set up the tech because of the pandemic. But we got the NFL draft this week. We have the NHL draft, the NBA draft, and Major League Baseball drafts, other drafts coming up throughout the summer. So that we're going to have some sense, some flavor, some little taste morsel of the sports we all love. We've got teams out there getting new logos and new uniforms, especially in the NFL. The Falcons, the Rams, the Browns, the Colts, the Bucks, the Chargers. All of these teams have changed logos. Chargers, we're hearing the reports. We've seen these different faked leak uniforms, but we haven't seen what the Chargers are going to do with theirs yet. I'm wondering why these teams are paying the amount of money they are, because by and large, they're coming back with junk. Like, I'm honestly convinced I could have given these teams a better product than what they've put out there. The Browns, you can't really screw up the Browns redo, okay? They're going to have the orange helmet. They're going to have the brown stripe. It's just how many stripes, how much orange, how much brown. I think they did fine. The Rams' new logo, I can't get behind it. It looks like it should be a Chargers logo. Some people, Eric Dickerson, said that the Rams' nose on the actual ram looks like a penis. I don't like the Colts' new logo where they put the state shape of Indiana into the C. I think that's trying too hard. You probably could have incorporated that in a different way. Look, I didn't like it when the Lions changed their uniform the last time either, and that's my team. Tampa Bay, they made their uniforms look real basic. Like they tried to get too exotic with it. Now they're trying to dial it back. we'll see what the Chargers do. The Falcons uniforms look pretty clean. Can't really complain about those. They do look a little arena football like, but they're pretty clean nonetheless. If I had to pick, I would say probably the Falcons and Browns right now have done the best job of retooling those kind of things. We'll see what the Chargers come up with. And really, that's all I got for you guys today. It's a weird time. I'm going to be real with you. Again, I think I could have done better on the logos. I'm looking forward to the draft. We're going to definitely have a couple draft shows this week. Maybe one prior and one after. We always do a draft wrap-up show where we break down the drafts a little bit. We need to be better to each other. It's about the we and not the me, especially when it comes to returning to normal in society and opening everything back up. Don't call me a fan. I am a champion. Watch some sports movies, relax, enjoy the time with your loved ones. And until next time, you know how we do. Just be real.